Okay, now, so I'm at the building and I've got my 4 printouts of Google Earth, and I'm going to take one of them, and actually I'm going to take them all, but I'm going to get on top of the roof and bring my tools with me and do the HVAC placement plan. So we come up the ladder. On this particular store, the hatch happens to be right here. I come out the hatch and I'm standing up on top of this roof surveying the universe from Raleigh, North Carolina, Ross store rooftop. Now, on top of this roof, I need to get 4 things. One is I got to get the dimension, the location of all these units, both from in the, say, left-right direction and the up and down direction. I need to get the dimensions of the curb, the RTU curb that it's sitting on top of. The unit sits on a curb, which is on the roof. And that curb is going to have an up and down dimension, a left and right dimension. Then I need to get the actual RTU numbers so I can identify which one is which. And then get photos. I'm looking for 4 photos, one from each direction of each of those units. So I get up the roof here and I just hardly even walk around. I just stand up there and look around for a minute. I got to make a decision. And the decision I need to make is what is going to be my datum. Like in surveying, we do everything from a benchmark. If we do a string of dimensions, we're going to introduce human error at every single dimension. But if we work from a single datum in both directions, we reduce that error possibility significantly. On this particular store, standing here on this particular store, I recall the wall behind me was almost non-existent. I mean, you can't tell in this view, but it's like maybe 2 inches tall in part of it. So first thing you do is you don't get close. But on the other side of the store, which is actually towards the front of the store, this wall was 6 or 8 feet tall, and I was able to use my laser to get a dimension there. So I'd make a decision that this is going to be my datum over here. And then either wall is pretty much the same. This wall seemed to be straight, whereas this wall had a little jog in it. So I decided to make this wall here my datum. Now, having decided that, what I do before I even move is I use one of these RTUs as my table, so to speak, and I draw right on here dimension lines to help me remember everything I need to do. So I'm going to need a dimension from this wall to that RTU, so I actually draw this here, selecting the color that will be readily visible against this black background. I'm going to need a dimension to the front edge of that RTU. And I'm going to need a dimension to the front edge of that RTU. I'll need a dimension here. And I'm going to need one here and here. So I just draw it right in there before I even walk around. Sometimes I actually do this while I'm on the, if it's cold, I might do it inside the store. But sometimes you got to get on the rooftop itself to just see what your datum's gonna be. Come in this direction, I need a dimension there. I'm gonna need a dimension here, here, here. I need dimension here. Now I sometimes loop over a line like that I'm crossing just so that, I don't know, it looks kind of cool that way, I think. So I need that dimension there. Each one of these I'm going to take individually with a laser. So I need this dimension here. Okay. So this unit, I've got 2 dimensions. This unit, I've got 2 dimensions. This unit, 2 dimensions. This unit, 2 dimensions. This unit, 2 dimensions. Okay, I've got all my dimensions there. The next thing I'm going to need is my curb dimensions, a length and a width. The way I do that is I just show a diagonal line off of each one of these, off of any corner, it doesn't really matter, just maybe to keep it semi-neat. I do project a double, a diagonal, and I'll show you exactly how I use that in just a second. And then let's just do that one over there, and this one over there. Now I'm basically ready to go. What I'm going to do with that diagonal line is this. I need to record for each unit the dimension of this side and the dimension of that side. So the way I use my diagonal is the dimension for this side of the diagonal, I write there. The dimension for that side of the diagonal, I write here. And that way it's always uniform, it's always the same, it's always, dimensions are always tied to a visible image. Now, I have my paper and whatever else I've got, and I start walking around the roof. So first thing I do is I come over to this unit here, and I notice that that is a unit number 1, and I write the number 1 right on there. Okay. Then I walk over to this unit. I notice it's a number 2. I write that number there. And this unit, number 4. I do that right there. Now, I might even take my photos or my measurements right now. You'll sort of figure out the system which makes the least number of steps for you. But I'm going to go in sequence here of tasks to do, although you might have a little bit more efficiency. So I wander around, I find this is unit number 6, this is unit number 5, this is unit number 3, this is unit number 7. Now I've got all my units identified. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my dimensions, okay? So I'm back at, say I'm at unit 7 here, okay? I pull out my tape measure and I see that the short dimension is 90 inches, and I write 90 inches right there. And the long dimension is 100 inches, so I write it 100 inches right there. I may do my laser right on the spot and measure this dimension here, and I find that it is 33 feet, 0 inches. I take my time and write it neatly. And I measure this dimension here, and I find that it is aha, 71 foot 7 inches. Sorry, I had to find my note on that one. Now, I'm doing this from notes, but I physically wrote this on here on the roof. I did not have additional notes. All I had was this piece of paper. And I think it's really important. You don't want to write notes over here and then later transfer it, because every time you do that, you introduce the opportunity of an error. Okay, so this is unit number 5 I walk over to, and it turns out that that one also, on the long direction, is 100 inches, and the short direction is 90 inches. Number 6, it's 100 inches, and the short direction is 90 inches. Number 3, it turns out the long direction is 90 inches, and the short direction is 60 inches. Number 1, turns out the long direction is 84 inches, and the short direction is 42 inches. And on 4, the long direction is 96 inches. Notice how I read it on the side of the diagonal that is adjacent to the long side. And the short side is 42 inches. On item 2, the long side is 84 inches. And the short side is 42 inches. Now I've got all my curb dimensions, okay? Now I'm just going to fill in my laser dimensions, okay? Now I had actually done this survey, and I actually physically did the laser dimension, stood there, and then wrote in the number, but right now I'm copying it from my original survey. This one was 24 foot 7 inches. Then I turned around this way and got this dimension, which was 153 foot, 1 inches for that dimension to unit 2. I went to unit 4, and this turned out to be 69 foot 0 inches. And unit 4, I then stood probably over here actually, sort of lined my toe up with where 4 was and sort of eyeballed that I had the laser aligned with that front edge, shot the wall, and I came up with 154 foot 0 inches. Okay. Unit number 1, I got 119 foot 8 inches. And on this dimension, we got 162 foot 8 inches. Then we wandered over to unit 3, where we got 118 foot 11 inches from there. And shot it against this wall here, 76 foot 5 inches. Went to unit 5 and measured 76 foot 6 inches. And then this wall, 76 foot 0 inches. Had a nice double check because this was 76 foot 5, this is 76 foot, and I physically verified, yeah, that looked, a few inches further back than this one. And then unit 6, which looked aligned with 5, turned out to be also 76 foot 0 inches. And in the left to right dimension, we had 29 foot 6 inches. Now, with that, this HVAC plan is complete. The only other thing I need is my photos. And I'm looking for 5 photos at each RTU. So I wandered to unit, say, for example, 7. The first photo I take is of the tag and anything that I'll put it this way. The first photo I take is something that identifies it as number 7. So the first photo is about number 7, and then, or a tag, which might be one in the same photo, or it might be 2 separate photos. But if I shoot 7, that means all the photos following are associated with 7 until I shoot something with a number 6. And then all those photos are associated with 6 until I shoot something with a number 2, okay? So basically I shoot the RTU number and then the tag, a close-up so it's readable, and then straight on 4 different sides, okay? And that's it, we're done with the HVAC plan. Now we go back down to the hatch, make sure I got all my tools, all my paper, because I don't want to leave it up there, that's for sure. Climb down very carefully, and now I'm ready to do the framing plan inside.